Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I think we should be able to start. Welcome to the webinar introducing the curriculum training for social workers and para-social workers who are working with vulnerable children on the move across the world. The International Social Service, ISS, is extremely pleased to host today's webinar. My name is Jeanette Wernstein-Tripathi. I'm the director of the International Reference Center, which is a specialized advocacy and research program at the headquarters of ISS based in Geneva. We are greeting you from different locations, starting with the headquarters, as I said, in Geneva, as well as the East Coast in the US with Elaine Weisman, who is program and training manager at ISS USA. As an international child rights organization celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, we look back at our history and can proudly say that actions aimed at protecting and caring for children on the move have been part of ISS DNA throughout individual casework, developed resources, research, but also advocacy. So today we will provide you with more details on a new capacity building tool that is the result of a great collaborative effort. First, let me just give you a few housekeeping rules. The webinar will be recorded as you were informed and is also used to further spread the word on this curriculum. You will have the possibility to ask your questions in the Q&A function here on Zoom throughout the presentation, and we will have enough time in the second part of the webinar to address your questions. If you have French and Spanish speaking colleagues among your networks, then please do share the news on our upcoming French and Spanish webinars in the coming days. And that is it from me now. Elaine, over to you. Please, thank you.
Hi, thank you, Jeanette, for everyone here today. There we go. I heard a little feedback. And especially, I'm so encouraged to see so many people joining from all over the world and this late in the year. I am Elaine Wiseman, as Jeanette mentioned. I'm part of the team at ISS USA, and I'm really honored to be presenting this course, an introduction to this course on behalf of quite a large team of people who are part of its development. So as she mentioned, I'm going to present the course kind of just in a few introductory slides. I'll go through it as quickly as I can, and I do want to make sure there's time for people to ask questions and engage a little bit with the material. I will do a demo of how to access all of the materials. Some of you may have been on our website already, but I'll kind of walk through how to get to the materials and what they all look like. And I know we had hoped to have somebody from UNICEF on this morning to present who was not able to be here today, but any questions that I can't answer this morning, this afternoon, we'll make sure we share some resources or can follow up with those answers. So I will have Jeanette, you can take it away, go to the next slide. So first, I just want to talk briefly about what is this, oops, I'm just going to move my screen here. What is the training? What is the Children on the Move curriculum? So it's meant to be a standalone, contextualizable training designed to be about 40 hours that can be integrated into existing curricula or existing training programs, specifically with social workers and parasocial workers across really a wide variety of geographic settings. Its goal, its objective is to develop practice skills, really practice-oriented material for work with children on the move, which of course encompasses children moving across or within borders, accompanied or unaccompanied by their parents or caregivers, for a variety of reasons, so including refugee children, people who are internally displaced or international migrants. And for me, sometimes it's easier to talk about this program also in terms of what it is not. And I think it's important to acknowledge that this is not new material. So this curriculum certainly acknowledges and draws from existing material from different contexts and different sources, including but not limited to UNHCR, UNICEF, the Alliance for Child Protection and Humanitarian Action, ISS, of course, and many others. But what makes it different, what it is, it's a nearly ready to use package that can be used as either a pre-service or an in-service, and really specifically designed for social workers and parasocial workers, as opposed to policymakers or supervisors or program developers or people in those kinds of roles. It's really meant to be practice heavy, skill building for those who are on the front lines. The other thing I'll say is that while it is designed for social workers and parasocial workers on the front lines, it's not an introductory social work course. So it's really meant to be incorporated into existing curricula, existing training, and taken by participants who do have a foundation of case management and child protection. So you can see in this list some of the topics covered. Really focus on skills and knowledge that help recognize and address those issues that are unique to children on the move, but within national systems and international protection considerations once it's adapted. So that's just a little bit of a summary of the flow of the training, and we'll get into that in just a moment. The last piece I'll mention on what it is and what it is not a self-directed course. So it's not meant to be a manual, something for self-guided study, even though you can download the complete training from our website. It's really meant for experienced trainers to facilitate with participants who are currently or who may be working directly with children on the move. So go ahead, Jeanette, go to the next slide. For some reason, I can't see the slides, but who designed the Children on the Move training program? So it was initiated by UNICEF in consultation with UNHCR, as well as the Alliance for Child Protection and Humanitarian Action. It was made possible, as you can see here, from funding from the United States State Department, Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, the government of the Netherlands, Prospectus Partnership. And then in terms of the design, ISS was the lead organizer of the development, with participation from the General Secretariat and some folks there, as well as the ISS Australia and ISS USA, as well as social work faculty from the University of Belgrade in Serbia, law professors from the Refugee Rights Unit at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. And that is ultimately where we conducted our initial pilot of the training back in February of this year. And the goal of kind of bringing together this group of professionals with backgrounds in social work, in humanitarian protection, in law, who are working in academia, in direct service, in technical assistance, and in lots of different regions across the world, we were really hoping to develop a package that could be adaptable to as many geographic settings and as many implementation settings as possible. And so I think we'll go to the next slide. Who the training is for. And I think this can sometimes be a little bit hard to tell in just looking in the material. So I think the question of who the training is for can really be answered in two parts. The package materials that you'll see on our website are intended for social work and parasocial work educators and trainers. The package is really designed to be adapted and then implemented by local experts who are skilled professionals who are already working in the field and in places where social workers and parasocial workers encounter children on the move pretty regularly. So I mentioned in the group on the previous slide, UNICEF, UNHCR, the University of Belgrade in Serbia, the University of Cape Town in South Africa, ISS USA, ISS Australia, and the ISS General Secretariat were all part of the initial pilot training team when we were in South Africa, but that group is not intended to be the future trainers. They're not needed as to be the future trainers. Really, it's meant to be facilitated by experts and experienced trainers in each place the training is subsequently delivered. So UNICEF and UNHCR can certainly be resources, as can ISS in many cases, to support the kind of the preparation of the next of each implementation, but it really is meant to be facilitated by local experts. The audience for the training, who receives the training, as I've said, is really intended for social workers and parasocial workers who already do have some foundational background in child protection and case management. And I'll say more about that coming up. But the skill building that really has made up the training and that really was designed for to be aligned with social work education. So we'll go to the next slide. And then to say a couple of things about the format and adaptability of the course. There are no prerequisites for the course in its current form. Certainly, it can be, as it's incorporated into other settings, that can be determined by other training groups. And it's not meant for trainees, as I've said, without some kind of social work or social service workforce training. There is an expectation that anyone who's receiving the training will have some background or some job responsibilities in child protection or case management or frontline social work. The package is generic in the sense that it's meant for a local training team to adapt to the local setting. So this does require that in each implementation, each delivery of the course, it does require that the material, the existing material that is on the website, is augmented with references to relevant laws, treaties, case practice, cultural, legal, and social context. So in its current form, it's really not ready to be delivered quite yet because it does need that, that adaptation to the local context. It's also customizable in the sense that it can be a pre-service or an in-service training. And it can also be adapted to more academic use for implementation with trainees who may have had more formal social work training. So our pilot group in South Africa was actually a group of professional master level social workers who are working on the front lines. And that allowed us to get a lot of really good feedback on the nature of the material. But in its current form, it's meant to be for, it's not necessarily meant for master's level social workers, so it can be adapted to be. The package is broken into 5 modules that feature case studies, discussions, activities, lecture. They have kind of a mix of each. Sessions are meant to be presented sequentially, days or sessions 1 through 5. But within each of those, and we'll see this as I go through the demo in a moment, each session can be adapted to the local or to the needs of that particular training group. So certain discussions can be adapted, certain case studies can be lengthened or shortened, all depending on what the needs of the training group are. And then, of course, the materials are free to download and incorporate into, as I said, what the existing curriculum look like. So now I'm going to make sure I'm able to see the video, but I'm going to have Jeanette start a quick demo. It's a video that I recorded, so it looks like it's live, but it's actually recorded, and I'm going to just kind of walk through how to access each of the components. And then after that, we'll head in to make sure we have plenty of time for discussion and questions. So give me 1 second. Go. Okay. And Jeanette, whenever you're ready, we can start the video. Okay. So to access the materials, you'll end up going to the ISS. There's a landing page on the ISS USA website. So you can just plug the link from all of our stuff into a browser bar. If you can't find the link, you can go to our website at iss-usa.org, click on that communications tab, and drop down to Children on the Move training. This, as you see, this is what the landing page looks like. There's a brief description of the curriculum and then a number of icons that indicate the components of the course material. So clicking on any of those icons or the download materials button will bring you down to a fillable form that asks just for some very basic information, your name, the organization that you are part of, and the country that you are representing or you're working in. All of those are required to complete the download. If you're downloading a couple of times, it may ask you to plug it in each time. Then you hit submit. If you have any trouble, you should be able to write to us for assistance. There's an email there, communications@iss-usa.org. If you have any technical difficulties. Otherwise, there's a link to the modules, a clickable link, which should download as a zip file. And so once you have those downloaded, you should be able to click that into a expandable folder, and those are all of the materials you see there in the package. So the first are a few introductory materials like a cover page, a foreword, and an introduction, which we do recommend that you review on your own. But we're going to look at a few of the other documents, starting with the agenda. So the agenda sets out the agenda by day. There's 5 days, 5 pages. Each has learning aims for each day, which you'll also see in the slides. It has the titles of each section, descriptions of each section, and well as estimates of time for each day and each section. It's based on the content that we've included, which is a 5-day, 40-hour week training format. So each day is about 6 hours worth of content to allow for breaks and lunch in that format. But again, all of that can be adapted as necessary. And then each day, as you can see as we scroll through, has between 3 and 5 sections or parts that range from 40 minutes, kind of at the shortest, to 2.5 hours. And once again, all that can be adapted based on the training group that you're working with. And so here we're just kind of scrolling through. You'll see this maps directly onto the slides that we'll look at in a moment. But this is kind of to give you a sense of the overall content of the course. So going back here, we're going to open one of the slide decks. You'll see there's 5 days. So each, if there's 5 total PowerPoints, one for each day, and each day has all of the slides for that day's sections, whether it's 3 sections or 5 sections. And we're just going to look at day 1, but they follow the same kind of same flow or the same schematics. So this is the slide deck for the first day. Day 1 has some introductory slides about the overall course. You'll see here kind of there's notes to guide what that looks like, but there's maybe 5 or 6 slides in the beginning just to give course participants some an introduction to what the full 5 days or 40 hours would look like. It gives topics. And then it goes into day 1. So each day begins with a title slide and follows the same flow each day. So there's materials noted, followed by an agenda slide, which lists each session and then provides an overview of the aims within each session. And then there's a slide for learning aims for the overall day. And then there's a section heading for each session, which repeats the description of what that session is about, some proposed times, and then proceeds to go through the course it's a regular PowerPoint course. You'll see that the slides are meant to be pretty easy to read and to follow along with. There are detailed notes within the slides to describe activities, discussions, lectures. All of the materials are included in the PowerPoint. So there's not a handbook or a user manual, though each kind of local facilitators can certainly take any of the PowerPoint materials and turn them into manuals. And then at the end, there's a list of key takeaways and links to core resources and source material. So that, like I said, we're only going to look at the first day, but that is what the course is meant to look like. So there's the rest of day 2 through 5, and then we're going to look quickly at the contextualization guide, which is meant to be kind of support facilitators who are implementing the course in their own context. It's an Excel document. It's separated at the bottom, you can see, by tabs with one for each day that match the color scheme of the course. Hopefully the video will start taking you through that. Yeah, so down here at the bottom, you see keep going. Let's see. I don't know if it's on my end, Jeanette, if it's paused.
No, it's running.
Okay. No, it's stuck on the first page there. Anyways, the contextualization guide, each tab designates the day, and hopefully the video will catch up with me.
Seems to be paused there on the first slide deck.
See if you can fast forward like 10 seconds or something. Strange.
Yeah, no, we're reaching the end of the demo. No.
Okay. Well, I think this was the last piece we were going to look at anyways, but the Excel document has tabs at the bottom. It has, and maybe I can open this when we go into the question and answer. For each section, it will have the title of the section, and then it will note the slide where there's material that should be adapted. So we'll have the slide number, the description of the slide, and then kind of what needs to be adapted, and then another column with, where relevant, resources or links to supportive materials to do that adaptation. So that not every slide certainly needs to be adapted, and there may be more that needs to be, but it's meant to be a guide that takes slide by slide and gives some direction for facilitators on areas that should be modified to the setting. And then the last piece that I'll note that's in the zip drive is also the complete slide deck from our Cape Town pilot, which was a 5-day, 40-hour course that we did in Cape Town. As I mentioned, it was with a group of master's level professional social workers. So the slides that you'll see in that PDF are different from the ones that you'll see downloadable in the course, but it gives an example of a fully contextualized course and the foundational work. So that's just kind of a resource that people can have to see what a completed course looks like.
Thank you so much for joining this webinar, which is really intended to disseminate this curriculum, to spread the word, and to look for further partnerships also to implement the curriculum. And yes, you have our contact details for further questions, for further information. So please do not hesitate to reach out to ISS or your national UNICEF office as well. we're going to display the slide again with the contact information, and yes, all the information is available on our website in any case. So thank you so much for your time, and happy seasonal greetings to everyone. And yes, stay tuned for more initiatives to come. Thank you very much on behalf of ISS.